shopping today and I'll go to school tomorrow. First impressions are incredibly important.
Honey, you can make a wonderful first impression.
Brenda, how could you?
He was a jerk, okay?
I've made my choice and I choose me.
Russo Connection Podcast Network listeners, welcome back to 90210 NoSo, a Beverly Hills 90210 podcast, a retrospective series. I'm JT. Joining me, as always, here in the booth is my compadre on the show, Mr. Tim. Tim, how are you?
JT, I'm feeling a little mad, bad, and dangerous to know. I am throwing huge house parties. I'm destroying potted plants. I'm impersonating teachers in order to hit on guest speakers who perhaps have AIDS, and I am watching Beverly Hills 90210 Season 1, and I'm loving talking about it with you and our excellent guests.
It's been a ton of fun, Tim. We were talking off air that, we'd mentioned way back in episode 1 that Season 1 was a little bit of a blind spot for me. Just something I didn't know as well. I would have never guessed there was this many levels of greatness this early in the show. I was thinking the first season would be a lot of maybe 4s and 5s and, maybe a higher one, but that we really kind of ramp up. Now I find myself trying to calibrate and not go crazy. But I'm like, these kind of deserve it. The show, some of these are as perfect as it gets for this, what the genre of the show is. So why should I be holding back when later episodes could also get equally great grades, but it may just be because the show has evolved, right?
It's been a calibration challenge for me also. And boy, is this episode going to be consistent in that vein.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And, excuse me, as is the trend, we have a guest with us. And, yet again, is it a first-time guest? Because we just have so many people banging on the door to join us here on the show. And if you are a listener and you want to be on, if you're a 90210 fan or you're just interested in checking it out, as Tim always says, we have a 1,000% conversion rate?
Yes, conversion rate. Yep. 100%. Batting 1,000, I guess you could say. 100% conversion.
I combine the metaphors, yeah.
I love it. I love a mixed metaphor.
Yeah, so everyone that checks it out ends up liking it and saying they're going to keep watching or keep listening. So if you're out there, even if you've been on pods before, you haven't, you want to check it out, you want to join in, just reach out to us on social media. We'll be happy to have you. And that's what this gentleman did. You hear him on some of the shows on our kind of quadapods, our feeds family that we have here. That is Mr. Jon Keselica. John, how are you?
Hey, Justin, great to be here tonight. I tell you, when this pod launched, the 90210 NoSo, and I heard you had this idea, and I was like, this is right up my alley. It pulled me back to those days of the CWO that people might not remember who are new listeners to us. But the blog, when we had the chat groups going about the 9021 Bros, people watching the show on SoapNet, people just blogging about it every day and having that ongoing discussion. It's a show that's been with me since, probably about the same time as you, since middle school. And, is still something that I can revisit today, and being able to discuss such weird moments of television watching from my formative years is absolutely great.
Well, glad to have you here as a diehard fan. And you kind of touched on it, but we usually do with our new guests, ask them to spend about a minute and a half going through their relationship with 90210. So when did you start watching? What season was it? And how consistently have you stayed with it?
Okay, so I'm probably a little similar to you. You mentioned that season 1's a blind spot. I think we're the same year. When did you graduate high school? 98?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So same thing. In that first year in middle school, it's like 91 watching it. Didn't really pick up on it too much. This is honestly, and we'll get into it later, one of the first episodes that I watched in full and was really really enraptured with. So I'm glad that we're covering it. I remember distinctly, though, that summer afterwards watching the new season that they did just at the Beach Club, which was something very different for television at the time, that they did a brand new season during the summer, and is probably something that helped the show really catch on. And honestly, I watched it since. I can tell you about stories when I was in 8th grade And, my English teacher was a big fan of 90210. And I got out of the fact that I, wasn't on time for a test and got out of it late because I wanted to talk to her about, hey, what happened last night when Laura had to talk at the school about what happened between her and Steve, and those types of things. I think I watched it absolutely throughout high school. Some good friends of mine and I, our senior year when we watched, or wasn't senior, we came back from college when we got together for the finale. We, sad as it may seem, even got a cake that we wrote 9021 over on that we had, to celebrate. just a couple of guys who like watching 90210, together on a weekly basis. I don't know about you guys, how you did with the newer series, but I know that even though it was the lowest rated series of the season during its final one, I still tuned in every week because I just felt kind of an obligation out of.
You mean like the CW one?
Out of the awfulness that I had sat through for so long.
From the CW, like the reboot? Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah, we ended up. I watched the whole thing right through. It was fine. It had its moments. They definitely veered off from the original intent, which was more like ties to the original, and then it just kind of became its own thing in its own universe. I really did like the new reboot from a couple years ago with the concept, kind of the faux reality concept.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that one I never actually watched. I don't.
That was really good. And then
it was interesting. Yeah, the meta approach that they took, and you could tell they were kind of seeding little subplots for a continuation, but it just didn't get renewed for that second season. So we got, what was it, about six or 8 episodes? Yeah, but
it was
kind of interesting, kind of good for what it was.
We did get some good rape. We did get some good rape
through
it redemption, at least in the new one. So,
sorry, Justin. I was going to say the CW one at least really piled on with the ad sponsorships that we got, the sponsor play we got in the later seasons of 90210. So they really took that and ran with it. That was one thing I definitely noticed from that show.
Yeah. So, all right. Tim, before we dive in, do you want to take a moment to tell everyone about our favorite 90210 related Instagram account?
Sure. So check out BH90210 Restored on Instagram. And so what this is, it's an account where it's just some person is going through and has taken it upon themselves to restore scenes from the series with the original music. So if you're watching along like we are on streaming, or even if you have the DVDs, you might think, I don't remember this music appearing in this episode. That doesn't quite sound right. Or maybe you're just curious what the original music was in the show as it aired way back in the 90s. This person is reinserting the original, then contemporary songs into the relevant clips. And so you don't get a ton of these for season 1, honestly, but they do appear where appropriate. This is going to be probably a much bigger, I guess you could call it, resource for us as we move along eventually into season 2, where music is going to play a much bigger role in the show, to the point that like there are actually episodes missing on streaming for music rights reasons that I don't fully understand. But we are prepared to contend with that, and we will certainly let you know what the original songs were as we have from the start of this podcast. So do check out that Instagram. Again, it is just simply BH90210 Restored.
Very good. Check it out while you're listening to this, because we are talking season 1, episode 11 of Beverly Hills 90210, B.Y.O.B, which should tell you exactly the type of episode we're headed toward, which first aired on January 10th, 1991. So let's dive right in. We start pretty hot as Kelly gives her thoughts on cars. She says she thinks they're just extensions of penises, basically. That's why guys are always talking about cars and showing their cars off. So Kelly gets that line in. And one thing I've noticed is, another thing I didn't realize, is like how Kelly's kind of the one-liner machine in the season so far.
Yeah.
You would have thought it'd be Steve, but it's really her. Like, she's the one that delivers a lot of these like little quips and witticisms that slide by in random scenes. So that was our first of the night. Then we find out that Donna's having a party. Her parents are out of town. She wants to keep it strictly A-list. No buffoonery, no clowns involved. Right. And Brenda says she wants to bring Dylan. So, she's still hot and heavy with him. David, and then Kelly says, well, Dylan is hot. And then we cut to David and Scott kind of overhear Kelly say he's hot. And she thinks she means him. So yeah. It would seem like a throwaway moment just to put over David kind of being a nerd. Ends up actually playing a bit of a role as we go on later. But so we kind of set the tone here. Brenda asks Dylan to go to the party, and he says, I'm going surfing in Baja. You can come with me if you want. And she's like, she seems a little disappointed. But she's basically like, he's like, well, how about next weekend? Like, we'll do a date and we'll do whatever you want. And Dylan says, I'm better one-on-one. I just don't like parties, basically, which Brenda kind of accepts. So I thought this was a fine kind of episode setting here. We get the full lineup. We got obviously Don and Kelly are excited. We understand it's going to be kind of a higher end party with just the cool kids. We know Dylan ain't going to be there, but Brenda probably is. So I thought this was fine stage setting, Tim.
I did too, and I like that it made use of our ensemble. Mm-hmm. So pretty much all the principal younger cast are just about entirely in this one opening scene. We don't get Andrea, although she is going to be in the episode. I don't think we see Steve in this opening segment, but certainly he's going to play a very big role at the party and throughout the episode as kind of an antagonist. So yeah, right away it's like, holy shit, we've got an A plot that isn't just solely centered on one of the Walsh kids. It's making good use of our younger cast. And my God, look at Donna getting lines and sort of driving the plot for a change. It's her house. She's going to be hosting the party. Mm-hmm. Not that she'll be a major character in this episode, but certainly
small baby steps.
Small baby steps here with Donna and her character development. So we're getting there. And I like your observation about Kelly too. I had the same note written down that I kind of forget that they really soften Kelly's character over the course of the series. And I don't know, I kind of really like Party Girl Kelly. And I think maybe we lost something there when they made her just sort of kind of the A-lister main. Okay. Well, yeah, that too. So we're some ways off from that, especially while Brenda's still on the show. But I'm enjoying this Kelly a lot.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, John, of the initial stage?
I think you guys hit on some great points. I loved these early high school scenes, and even probably the first year in college, where it seemed that everybody would just happen to be walking down the same hallway or cutting across. Yeah. At the perfect time, or like David would be speaking at the radio station, we'd overhear something. It just helps to really drive everything across. I thought it was kind of weird that Donna had pointed out, she's like, oh, like her parents are never going to miss that everything's missing from the liquor cabinet. Like that she just kind of threw that out there. Like,
bunch of drunks.
Weird lines this episode actually seems, I know you mentioned, Tim, that she's kind of developing more of a character, but in this, she comes across really kind of mean, especially. So which I thought was a weird point for where we know that character eventually ends up. But yeah, still clueless David and Scott walking around thinking like, oh, what can we do to meet the pretty girls? And Scott in his his always present Lakers hat.
And thinking that he, anyone gives a shit about either of them.
Really.
Not the case. All right, so back at home, Brenda's begging Brandon to come to the party. He kind of wants nothing to do with it. She's like, just come for 10 minutes or, whatever, an hour if you're enjoying it, just fine. So Brandon, agrees to drive her and hang out as long as he could tolerate it. We find out Jim is in a good mood here tonight in this episode. He's prancing around the house. He's got his little sweater on. And we find out they got a big company getaway to Palm Springs. He's with Cindy in the bedroom. He's a little horned up. He's almost doing the crotch thrust at her. We get a big makeout where he dips her and the kids come in and kind of roast him a little bit. And Jim and Cindy say, we're going to this retreat. It's a big company retreat in this beautiful hotel. And you guys, you're going to be staying home alone. So the eyes light up a little bit. That's next weekend, not this weekend, but we're setting the stage ahead of time here. So we know that the Walsh kids will have a little weekend alone as Jim and Cindy go to canoodle. So again, I thought this was pretty good setting the stage, and I like that we do it now and not after our like the big first happening. You know what I mean? Where it would have been first.
Yeah.
So this was already kind of in place before everything else happens.
Yeah, I like how we're kind of setting up our plot and various different events and different settings in this episode. Just in these opening minutes here, we know we're going to get this big party at Donna's, and Brenda's already planning some kind of soiree. We're about to learn that she's going to plan a soiree for the next weekend while her parents are away, but that's when Dylan's going to be available, so she's already looking ahead to that next weekend. And we get the Palm Springs coming into the picture, which is going to be a big fixture of the series going forward. So, source of some of our favorite moments and episodes, JT, certainly. And I definitely share in the Walsh's enthusiasm for getting away to Palm Springs for one of those wild weekends. I'd
Company
be,
retreat.
Crotch thrusting also. Plus, Jim's got to get Cindy's mind off of Glenn, I feel like. And
he's still learning that.
Yeah, it's only a few episodes removed from her emotional affair, and he's been working so hard lately. Like, this is his next big chance to like make good and redeem himself. Get that one-on-one time, man. So, what do you think, John?
I think we talked about it just before we started recording, but one of the things that makes this episode so strong is that it really has two really strong plots. And this second plot that is getting set up here with Jim and Cindy, it's taking them out of the picture, but it's setting them off on their own adventure. It's also kind of a hallmark of these early seasons where Jim and Cindy are much more featured characters, and for some reason are always portrayed as being ridiculously affectionate with each other to uncomfortable degrees for people around them.
Yeah, I feel like it was a reaction to, because the first few episodes they were very almost like cold to each other, right? And I feel like ever since they had their little breakthrough, now they're like way over the top, and that overcalibration stays where they're super over the moon with each other.
Right, but I mean, fast forward a couple seasons and they're going to just like disappear.
Right.
and we don't hear anything.
Yeah, as characters, they're not going to have a ton of presence in the later seasons. But and this is a necessary. We've talked about how stupid some of those B plots were in previous episodes, but this is a really necessary B plot because it gets them out of the picture for a little while.
Them out of the
they're
picture.
off. Yeah, they're off on their own adventure, so it allows the A plot that we're going to get to proceed.
And you know what? It's going to set up what we're going to see coming up where, being able to trust, their children, like they're already saying, hey, it's fine. We're going to leave our kids alone in Beverly Hills for the weekend. Right. It's not going to be a problem. They don't anticipate that being a problem as of yet. But, and JT, I'll let you take it from here because there might be something that calls into maybe some warning here.
All right, well, yeah, we head to the Martin residence for the big party time. Everyone's drinking. We got Steve working the bar with some other random guy. I don't think we ever get a name for this guy. He's just like another student, but he's a real asshole. The whole
JT,
time.
I looked it up. I tried to find anything on IMDb or anything about this character's name because he plays such a big part, it feels like.
Right.
Don't ever name him. No.
Usually they would at least give a name for someone like this. Did you try the 90210 wiki? I didn't look there, but
I didn't.
And there is a 90210 wiki.
Yes, there is.
That has everything, so we can try and maybe go through there quick and find it. But I didn't catch the name. They never said one. And again, you would think that they would, for sure, given the role he plays throughout this. So he's there with the bar with Steve, mixing drinks. Brandon walks up, just want a Coke, just give me soda, and they start roasting him a little bit, kind of busting his balls. Steve says, okay, it's fine, Brandon. Like, you don't want to drink, you don't want to drink. How about a virgin margarita? And Brandon's like, all right, cool. I'll try that. And, of course, immediately Steve just loads it with alcohol. This other kid's calling Brandon a buzzkill. And he almost feels, like, angry about it. Like, I don't like the level of anger that they have over Brandon not wanting to drink.
Yeah.
I don't know if they think he's going to be like an arc because he's sober or something, maybe. Or they just fucking assholes, I guess, is probably the more correct answer. But so Steve loads with alcohol, and Brandon takes a drink, and he's like, oh, this is good. Like, if you're that adverse to alcohol, and then I thought maybe he never had any, but then later we found out like he did have one night where he got real sick from drinking. So you would think he would, if it was that spiked, like is Steve mixing a frozen marg that's that well made that you're not tasting
he
the
put
alcohol?
a ton of sugar in it to cover it.
Yeah, I will say he put maybe a shot of tequila in that big ass blender. And
but they acted like they loaded it up.
They acted like they loaded it up, and also he's feeding them to him all night. So I get that it will take a cumulative effect, but he definitely went a little easy on that first one from what we saw, intentionally or not. So I'm like, I don't know, like to be a very inexperienced drinker, which JT, you know that I am. These frozen margaritas that Steve is doling out, I just feel like any amount of, especially tequila, you're probably gonna taste. But
this is the 1991 frozen margarita, Tim. Yeah. We're a little bit away from having like the level of mixed drink concoctions that we have today, where like craft stuff is a big deal, right? Like this would have been like a wine cooler poured into the, what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about, 91, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Brandon should have and would have noticed, but we'll kind of go with it, I guess. He's inexperienced. It's whatever.
Well, at least give me like a little like, all right, whatever. It must be this. You know what I mean? Like give me like a little acknowledgement that maybe something's off, not just hey, this is great, and then chugs it down. But all right, so Brandon we know is possibly in trouble here, John.
He's possibly in trouble, yeah. And you would be remiss to not mention that these were not just any margaritas. They were Steve Sanders' famous Mucho Mango margaritas.
Mango.
He introduces them to us.
Mango margaritas.
Yeah. Which I'm not sure if, Steve is supposed to be, 16, 17 here in this?
Mm-hmm.
In
this they're what, juniors? And
they're juniors. They're juniors at this point in the show, so he's either 16 or 17. I think, I want to say later in the series they establish Steve as having a spring birthday because I don't know why I know this. One of the season finales is like set on his birthday.
Right.
Okay.
So I would assume
right, when they're on the boat.
Yes,
the boat.
Goo Goo Dolls episode. Which, anyway. So yeah, that was his 21st birthday. He's got to be, if they're juniors, 16, hasn't turned 17 yet.
Okay, so I mean, what are the odds that he's mastered this bartending skill to be able to make these Mucho Mango margaritas at the time? Like,
I guess they're just trying to set up, right? You're Beverly Hills, they're rich kids. I mean, they all just started young, right? With everything.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's sex, drinking, drugs, partying, like I think I guess that's supposed to be kind of the moral of it, right? That Brenda and Brandon are kind of virginal in many ways, right? Like we learned last episode. And here they are into this world where everyone is just aged physically, which we know, but also in the show they're aging in experience more so than the Walshes.
It's my favorite scene in the episode, I would probably say, is this party scene, because it is the most heavy-handed, the most melodramatic, with the like threats of like what is going to happen if you drink, and like you can't do this, like, and everybody just kind of like questioning everybody. The guy comes over, like you said, the unnamed guy, and he says Walsh is a major buzz crusher.
Yeah.
And that, and my other favorite takeaway from this was just, and maybe it's a Beverly Hills thing and that's what they're trying to play on, but what's up with the fashion at this high school house party?
Yeah, they're all dressed up.
I don't know if back at Hendricken, if you guys had like high school house parties that looked like this, or like what's going on.
Sadly, I may be the cool guy in the room right now, John, but back then I was at Betty party. There's a better chance.
You weren't slinging any mango margaritas at your.
No, I wasn't slinging margs and dick around. I was probably
guys are all in blazers, like the girls in dresses. It's like a homecoming party, but I was
probably watching like Get Your House 3 for the fifth, or one of my Seinfeld tapes for like the 50th time, I guess. But yeah, well, Donna did say it's an A-list party. She wanted it to be like the classy, so that's it. It's like a dinner party for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So we get some slow dancing. So I mean, they're really playing it up. It's like a wedding. They're like slow dancing.
Yep. The mystery guide slow dances with Donna.
He does, yeah. So he's making his move.
Yeah.
We see Brandon's outside by himself, and then he's a little shook because he had just seen Steve and Kelly kind of, necking a little bit, and they head up the stairs. So it feels like maybe there's a little something cooking there. And again, Tim, we've been kind of hitting on it. That we've already had very early like hints and sparks with Brandon and Kelly. So this is just like another one, like maybe our third or fourth one, where Brandon shows a little bit of like interest in Kelly. So he's a little pissed off that maybe she's hooking up with Steve, and he's basically like, I'm ready to go. This half of the mango margarita isn't enough to get me there. And Brenda's like, just loosen up, just loosen up. So we'll get to the big reveal in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kelly also took up for Brandon when he said he didn't want to drink. She was like the one person who was like, leave him alone. Which, again, shows more depth than just party girl Kelly that you would maybe expect from her, but well earned after, the mom episode. Makes a lot of sense for her. But, yeah, I mean, she'd been waving off Steve's advances throughout various other episodes that we've watched. And here, both of them got a little bit of liquor in them, so they're feeling a little bit horny, and head on upstairs. It's sort of it's like a low key hookup, but it's like, that's kind of a big hookup for early in the show. I know they have a history, but it's
right,
like,
and that's what they're kind of leaning on, is that they're exes and they just kind of backslide right.
The
party.
Yeah, that's always been kind of hinted at. Do we think they went to Felice Martin's room?
No. Well, Felice doesn't exist yet. Nancy still, so
Nancy Martin. Yeah.
Nancy Martin. So I would say they definitely desecrated Nancy Martin's bed, and that's why she quit the show, baby.
That's why that's why they had to replace her.
All right, so Steve gives away the game. He finds, he admits that he spiked the drink, and Brandon's fucking pissed. He's like, what the hell? And everyone's laughing at him, and he's basically having like a meltdown in the middle of the room in front of everyone. That he didn't want to drink. Steve broke the trust. Steve is basically apologizing. He's like, sorry. The other asshole guy steps in. He says, Brandon's ruining the party. So he is just anti this guy. This is someone you would expect like 4 years later, maybe, where Brandon's kind of the king, and like everyone's kind of coming for the king. But here it feels a little early for like someone to be this upset at Brandon, but he is coming at him heavy. And he's like, he's ruining the party. And Brandon finally gives in and chugs the margarita and says he likes it. So, and then after that is when Steve and Kelly actually head upstairs and find, they head up to the bedroom. So, John, what do you think of Brandon's big meltdown? I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was good. I thought, again, this was more of that melodrama of like everybody staring at you and saying like, hey man, come on, you're ruining it if you don't take part. And like my big takeaway from this is watching these first few episodes again over first season, like, how did Brandon and Steve ever become best friends? Apparently, like Steve does nothing but like just rag on the guy all the time, whether it be like, with the track team and, in the steroids. I don't know if you guys got to that one yet, or
there's a lot wrong with Steve in this. They do not make him flattering at all, which again, we'll talk about later, I think, as we go. But yeah, it's not the best look for him early on. He's basically the de facto heel for most of this.
For most of it, and then once all of the main actors leave in the late seasons, he becomes the main like father figure on the show.
So that's not a great look for Steve. This was the first of many Brandon blow-ups we'll get in this episode, which that's always a treat, I suppose. It is kind of funny how like he's doing this a lot and people are ragging on him quite a lot, and yet everybody does want his approval at the same time. It's like there's I don't know, there's something unshakably special about Brandon Walsh that everybody's like got to get a piece of it. It's just sort of the theme of this series.
Right.
So I'm looking at the wiki, and they have a whole section just on West Beverly characters, and this guy's not in there. So
okay,
he's really eluded everyone with his identity, which is probably for the best, given he's likely committed many crimes. So the romance back out with Steve and Kelly. Brandon drives Brenda home, and I thought this was a really well done tease, because you kind of expect something to happen on this ride home, right? Like he wraps the car around a pole, or he gets pulled over, DUI. Right. Like you kind of, I thought it was a well executed red herring in this one here to make you think, here's the scene where it's going to happen. And then when they pull in and they're just kind of laughing and yucking it up, and it's like, all right, Brandon's loose and they're having a good time and whatever. They had a nice night. So I thought it was a good tease.
I agree with you. I think, we had that you typically would think in a high school melodrama like this, like, okay, they take off from the party, something's going to happen. We saw it in the similar episode of Saved by the Bell. They're driving home from the party and they wrap the car. But here they make it home just fine. They just got to get past mom. Brandon gets up fine. But then, of course, Brenda goes to kiss mom goodnight and
it sets it off.
Sets up the ultimate moment of the next morning for me of Jim and Cindy in the sweater vests, and we'll talk about that. I'll let Tim.
Well, Brandon does a good job too of he says oh, she's gonna be on that couch reading the same book she's been reading since 8th grade, and they walk in and Cindy's reading the book, and she's like, oh, I just got into this novel, So I thought that was pretty
the novel's the size of a phone book.
Well, that's why it's taken her all these years to read it.
Yes, reading some kind of Russian literature. So I definitely like the swerve here, and it's also very true to life, right? You rarely get busted sort of that first time out. Mm-hmm. You can often get away with this thing without consequence the very first time you do it, and Brandon is smart enough to keep his distance and make a very short appearance while Cindy is reading her Russian novel, and Brenda is the one who really kind of steps in it by, going in for that hug and kiss goodnight. It's like, oh, what are you thinking? She's so naive.
Yeah, you knew it was a bad move, and Cindy immediately smells the booze. She runs right up to bed and kind of narks to Jim, who's fading. I was curious what he was watching. I was trying to see, but I do know Cindy puts on was it the Love Boat or something? I think comes up.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah.
Jim was watching the game maybe or something.
Well, great spelling show, right?
Yes.
From 70s, early 80s.
There you go. Good nod. Sure, that was on purpose. So Jim's like, I don't really give a shit right now. I'm trying to sleep. We'll talk about it in the morning. And Cindy's like, let's go talk to her right now. And it's like, that's the worst idea. Why would you do that right now? So Jim's like, even if he is just trying to punt it because he wants to sleep, it was smart of him to say, let's just do it in the morning. He says, Brandon doesn't drink, so we'll talk to Brenda. And the next morning, we get the scene, John, that you just mentioned, where we get Jim and Cindy. They're in the matching sweater vests. I guess they're going to play tennis or something. I don't know if they actually ever say it, but they headed to the club to do something because they're wearing.
They do. No, yeah. Brandon says, "Have fun. Good luck at your game at the end."
So it's either racquetball or squash or tennis or something because they definitely got the matching sweaters on, which looked amazing. And they put the pressure on Brenda right away about drinking. At the party, how could you do this? Even if it was just one drink, we trusted you. You shouldn't be doing that. There was alcohol. Why was there even alcohol there? And she storms off as always. In this, Jim mentions I didn't know if this is the way to go about it, but he's like, we were driving to Wisconsin to pick up beer. Doesn't that seem worse than a house party? To me, that's not a clear win for Jim. He's like, yeah, when I was your age, we would just drive to Wisconsin for beer runs.
They would drive over. They would drive over the state line because it was legal there.
Right. That seems worse. A lot worse.
Which he even mentions. He was like, well, we were 18, but in Wisconsin it was legal there at 18, and now it's not. So it's like he's more concerned. It sounds like with the legality of it than.
I think he's just desperately swinging at ways to make her feel like shit more than anything. But and then she's not even 18, so it's even worse in a way. I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't make sense because he's like, when I was your age, but not really.
Not really. Yeah.
So
a bit older.
Brandon throws Brenda under the bus, and basically he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, Dad. She just kind of did it, and it's all right. We go home safe." And Jim says to keep an eye on her, and she gives Brandon.
And of course, they never doubt Brandon, of course, because he would definitely never do anything so disappointing.
So Brenda kind of gives him the "you owe me" one right on the way up as he walks by because she lets him slide with it.
Yeah, well, she did. She didn't narc on him, and she could have. But then it turns into you drove drunk, which is a much bigger deal than Brenda, as she put it, having a few sips of somebody's mixed drink.
Right. Yeah. So she just had a few sips. What do you think, John, of the big sweater vest showdown?
I love the way they just kind of sidle up behind her, full power move, just standing there. What happened at this party? your mother smoked alcohol on your breath last night, and then like doing the same thing with Brandon. It's just so brilliant, and it seems like this again. I come back to that idea of this being so evil to happen, and it's one of the few times that 90210 goes this far to just be like, there's no way this should happen at all. It's terrible, It's
that
like
corrupting influence.
It's almost like it feels more like a Seventh Heaven treatment of it than it does like a 90210 treatment of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are
just the
still trying to kind of
morality.
figure out their path as well, anyway, too, on here. So,
Mhm.
at this point, it still kind of is that family less out of the week drama type thing, right? More than
Right.
where Will Head is much more soapy. So, Jim and Cindy head off to the Springs. Kelly's fed up with Steve because he's been hounding her. He's basically like, "You haven't called me back." She regrets what she says, 15 minutes of fun and a lifetime of regret, which is another great one-liner she sneaks in here. So she's basically already regretting giving it up to Steve again, because now he's just back on it, hounding her. Kelly and Donna want a house party when Brenda reveals that Jim and Cindy are gone, and she says Brandon ain't gonna allow it, no chance. And I love the framing of the scene, because as they're talking about it, we see Brandon talking to Andrea in the background, just to hammer home that he's a square. Like, they're talking party and he's talking to the biggest nerd in school. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I thought it was really well done. It's like, you just see him in the background. It's not even like focused on. He's just chatting with Andrea in the background, and it's just like so perfect, because that, oh yeah, he ain't never gonna have the party. Look at him, he's talking to Andrea over there. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. And we also get the kind of the cutaway to David and Scott, right? Who once again are feeling left out of the party scene. And David's saying, "Oh, I've got to be there this time. They're playing another Rager." And Scott's like, "You're obsessed with this." So yeah, it's another good scene of just the school activity and everybody milling about. And granted, yes, the coincidence of our principal characters all being in the same place at the same time, but that's what's fun about the show.
Right, it's the main hallway. So we're back to Palm Springs. Jim and Cindy are living it up. It's this beautiful hotel, and they are like most couples, I would assume, when they get to the hotel, ready to throw down as soon as they lock the door. Jim hops in the bed. He's testing it out. Cindy's going to lock the door, so they're ready to get down right away. But in come Bob and Trudy Barnett from Houston. Come through the adjoining doors of the room, and they are ready to partay. Trudy is the very typical kind of Southern. I don't even know what this is. The Southern middle-aged, woman of a guy with a lot of money, like just very done up, a lot of makeup, the kind of the big bouffant hair, like just ready to rock. And Bob is very timid. He's kind of got the Bob Lee, ESPN look, kind of the comb over and little heavy set. And so they come in and introduce themselves, and poor Jim and Cindy get rolled up on, John.
This is, Jim in full on horn dog mode, where she goes, "How's the bed?" He jumps down. He goes, "Why don't you? It feels good. Why don't you try it out?" It just feels so out of character from what we've seen, so far.
Right. Well, I feel like ever since he yelled at Glenn, he's had the testosterone's been raging in his body since then. Like, he has just felt his oats since then.
Or he's taking
he's like I need to prove myself every chance I get. Like I'm just going on.
What's out. What's like the 1991 equivalent of like a eugenics? What is this?
Ginger.
He gets like Frank Thomas walking in and saying, "Here you go."
Icapro. I don't know. He's taking some kind of performance enhancer. So they're ready to get it in. Want to make up for lost time. I totally get that. What is with this? These cartoon characters out of Texas, which this is something this show is going to do a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about people from Texas. I think it's kind of like Vince McMahon and like his fascination with hillbillies or whatever. It just, they always do these way over the top caricatures. I know there's like a guy that in later seasons, like Felice tries to set Donna up with some guy from Dallas or something, and he's like a doofus.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I think Brandon and Steve, like in that one, there's like one season premiere, they get stranded in Texas, and it's like they're almost
Brandon does, and he meets the black girl who he falls in.
Meets the right, and they're like almost
faces the racists down there.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's like, man, this show really had it out for Texas. I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's a Dallas thing. Anyway, it is outrageous. These people just walking into their room. What are we doing? You know, broken lock on the door or not? You don't do this. No one does this. This is
with a bottle of champagne and a full tray of crudité. It looks like.
Well, the thing is, like, they clearly, this is not the first time they've done this at one of these retreats. Like, they come in with such bravado and confidence that this is clearly something they do like all the time.
They probably broke that lock on the door. Set up.
There is a chance they like know the person at the Palm Springs Hotel and paid them off to Jimmy the lock so they could get in. But all right, so here they are. They're in there. So we've set them up as potential troublemakers for Jim and Cindy. So Brenda decides to shoot her shot with Brandon to try and get him to give in to the party. They're in the kitchen. He's making a sandwich. And Brandon first wants no part of it. Brenda says she wants an A-list party, just like Donna. It'll be classy. It'll be just however many friends, not too many people. And she really puts the pressure on. She said it's a tradition in Beverly Hills. It's their turn. These parties can put you on the map. Brenda says others will drink. They don't have to. They can just keep an eye on them, make sure everything's okay. And then she goes to the trump card. You owe me one because, you fucked me. Yep. You didn't take the fall for driving drunk. I took it, and you owe me one. And then she even goes deeper and basically says, like, aren't you tired of always doing the right thing? Like, aren't you tired of just always being Mr. Perfect and not just letting loose and having a good time? And that's what resonates with him finally. And he crumbles, and he's like, fine. So I thought this was actually a really good multi-pronged attack by Brenda. I thought she came hot with all the right plays. And just really hit a home run on this one. She knew Brandon's weak spots. She hit him with the perfect son, hit him with the Omi one, and she knows deep down too he kind of wants to be a little accepted. He feels a little outcasted here. So I thought she hit him with all the shots that she knew would get him to crumble.
I mean, we know she hits him with the right shot because he mentions it how many more times during his blow-ups the rest of the episode. Yep, it's going to be a recurring theme for him as he unwinds and as he kind of falls apart but I'm always supposed to be perfect, or I'm always expected to be this. So I just wanted to, show that I didn't have to be.
Which kind of goes back to the basketball episode. Remember Jim being all in on that and kind of living vicariously through Brandon's athletic achievements, which, weren't many at that point. And Brandon just feeling the pressure there. So this is just a different form of that. Now we're getting the kind of peer pressure spin on Brandon and all the expectations around him. So yeah, Brenda plays her cards right. I also like that she took the very strategic approach of not opening with the favor that he owes her. She really wanted to keep that one up her sleeve, huh? Didn't want to spring it on him right away, but she
could have held that. She could have probably held that for a later favor, but this party is important, I guess, after the pressure Donna and Kelly put on her.
Yeah, she needs to close the deal. She needs to get this one done.
Yeah, she's got limited time.
All right, so Jim and Cindy are back on the bed, and Jim's very unnerved by Bob and Trudy. But Cindy says she likes Trudy. She wants to give her a chance. But in they come again. They barge in. They say the lock is busted. They got some Dom Perignon. They got the snacks. We get a very creepy Bob. I hope we're not being too intrusive. He's very, very creepy. He's got like this very stilted, quiet serial killer type demeanor about him, where he's like
kind of a cherubish, cherubish face, which can be somewhat off-putting, given what they are up to, as we find out.
That constant grin and that kind of like holding his arms tight to his body as he's like holding the wine and everything. It really is off-putting. Yeah.
So Trudy rambles on and on and on and says, after the retreat, we want to come to Beverly Hills and spend a couple days with you. And Jim and Cindy are like sputtering out. Like they could not get to the excuse Rolodex quick enough. They're like, just no clue what to say here. So Bob and Trudy bringing the heat out of the gate. They are, Trudy just rambled. This was like the monologue to that monologue. She just kept going and going. I don't know I couldn't even keep up. I didn't even try and bother write down what she was saying. She was just rambling on, and then invites themselves to Beverly Hills. So Dylan says whatever Brenda wants to do this weekend, he's all hers. And again, she played this one pretty well because she kind of sets him up like, hey, we're still on for the weekend, right? And Dylan's like, yep, whatever you want. And then she says, well, guess what? We're having a party at our house and you're going to be there. And then she tells him like they're going to be away. So Dylan, kind of pieces two and two together and thinks, all right, if I put the time in to go to the party, no parents at the house, maybe this is my shot to get it in finally. Elsewhere, Andrea offers Brandon a ticket to go see a comedy play. At first I thought it was a comedian, but then I think it was a play that was a comedy, I guess, that she got tickets from her grandmother. And Brandon invites her to the party, and they kind of have a little flirtatious back and forth. And they end up agreeing that Andrea will go to the play and then stop by the party. So a couple interesting little scenes here with two different divergent relationships on display.
And continuing that thread of maybe Andrea and Brandon going to be a thing in these early episodes. Like, I don't know. There's a world where maybe, can you imagine like an Andrea, Brandon, Kelly triangle in this series if they had just zigged instead of zagged, I guess. But I'm kind of still liking it.
We get into that idea of, we're still kicking that around. I feel like the writers were is Brandon actually interested in Andrea? Is he just flirting with her out of like kindness? What's really going on here? Because this seems like a genuine invitation.
Yeah, I think he likes her as a friend. They spent a lot of time together at the newspaper. And I do think maybe a little bit he kind of likes her because it's not the first time where he's kind of hinted at it, like you said. So maybe he doesn't know yet. Maybe he kind of wants to figure it out, but there's something there potentially.
I also think he pulls up the line of when she's about to invite him, he says, "Oh, don't give me another assignment, right away this weekend." And so he's kind of trying to show her, I think, that he can have fun, and we'll definitely see that coming up. So.
Yeah, he's trying to embrace this potential new loose living style that he's going to take on with Brenda.
Loose living and hard drinking, Brandon.
That's what he's known for.
The hair starts to go in the next scene, right? It starts hitting loose.
So Brandon asks Brenda how many people are coming. She says like 15. Then we cut ahead and they're like, there's 250 people here, basically.
Oh my God.
The house is crammed. Everyone's jammed in there. This party's hopping. David and Scott show up. They crash the party. Scott's such a sad sack. He says something like, oh, good, I get to hang out with all the people that ignore me at school so they can ignore me here too, or something like that. Like,
I thought that was a good Scott line. I give him that.
He's just so sad.
Yeah.
Steve tries to get Kelly drunk again, very obviously what he's trying to do. And she even calls him on it. She's like, you just trying to get me drunk so I'll bang you again. Basically, leave me the fuck alone. So he's all over her. Brenda's getting pissed too. And she's like, me and Brandon made a pact. We weren't going to drink. And now all these people are here. What the fuck? And Kelly's trying to talk her down, like just telling her to have a good time. Basically shows her like, hey, Brandon's drinking. So the deal's over. He's letting loose and you ain't. And now you're the one that's all uptight. In comes Dylan to the party, and you hear something break in the background. So the trope of that occurs, where at the big house party, someone breaks something of value in the background. So anyway, I thought this was a good scene to establish that the party is immediately out of control.
I just have to say, I love. Go ahead. Yeah.
Leave it to the Walsh twins to not be able to control a party, and then just like, lose all control here.
And immediately, because I just really popped for that smash cut to the huge party after they're discussing like the head count, and it's just like all of a sudden this total rager, and it's just like you said, the shit's getting broken in the background, everybody's dancing, people are all up on each other, and it just has all the makings of a great like high school comedy type movie, and I just I really love the way they set this up.
I think Tim, along your side, I love the opening where it's Brandon pouring pretzels into a bowl or pouring chips into a bowl. He's like, "Do you think we have enough, or should we put them all out, or like what should we do?" They're concerned.
And they're like, they're so pleased with themselves. They're like, "Okay, yeah, we have the makings of a nice little party here," and it's just all of a sudden, holy shit.
Yeah, West Beverly gone wild,
It quickly exploded. Speaking of exploding, we're back to Palm Springs where Jim and Cindy are trying to fuck again, but they're worried about the Barnetts coming in. And Cindy says, "All right, just give me a minute. I'm gonna call home and make sure everything's okay, and then we'll get down." And Cindy calls, and Kelly answers, and she kind of tries to cover, and doesn't really go anywhere, I guess, on the phone call. It kind of ends there. But we find Brandon getting real fucked up with Steve. They're chugging him. And Brenda comes in and just reads him the riot act. And he's basically like, what the hell? Like, you mocked me the other day. You said I don't have fun. I'm a loser. And now I'm having fun and you're all up my shit. Like, what is the problem? And Brenda's just like, well, you're out of control. And so I don't think anything came out of that Cindy call with Kelly, right? Just kind of.
I mean, you get just some good physical comedy with Brenda taking the call and trying to stay quiet while the music is blasting, and she's like, of course, she's got the landline, so she's like tangling everybody up in the court as she's walking around trying to clean shit up at the same time, and.
But nothing. Cindy doesn't pick up on anything.
There's not much to say for the parenting skills or the awareness of Cindy Walsh here, as Brenda can't even get her on the cordless, and Kelly answers the phone like, "Hey, Party Central, what's going on?"
Well, they are like one track mind right now, Jim and Cindy. The Barnetts are on breathing down their neck. They're trying to get it in. Like, it's obviously, I think she was doing this as a perfunctory, like, we're supposed to call home thing, whereas in reality she wanted just to get to bed with Jim. So.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, her mind is a little bottled up.
Yeah, so Brenda waved her off pretty easily. So they got away with that. Brief intrusion into their party.
So, also intruding the party are the cops because they are coming up the walkway here, and Brandon goes full Bart Simpson here. Like, I don't know if he, like, is this him thinking this is cool? I guess. And I think it's on purpose, right? Like, he's supposed to be a nerd, and they're acting like he thinks it's cool. He goes, "Don't have a cow, man," and he tries to downplay things, and he wants to go talk to the cops because he's Brandon effing Walsh, and he's like, "I'm gonna go handle this." And Dylan's like, "Dude, like, stay the fuck here. I will handle this, and me and Brenda will take care of it. We're sober. You're not." Like, he's basically tells them, like, if they even sniff you, you're going to jail, right? So
you're fucked. Yeah.
So Brandon backs down. So the cops, Dylan and Brenda go to the door, and the cops tell them to turn down the stereo. The neighbors are complaining that they weren't interested in a rock concert tonight here in the neighborhood. And Dylan sweet talks him down. He says, "We'll lower the music. It's my cousin's birthday. She got a little excited." It's like he pulled this one out of the holster. Like, he had the story on reserve from past altercations. So the cops take off. They kind of let things slide. Were you surprised, Tim? Did you think something?
Well,
I feel like this is another good tease. Like, we've already had the driving. Now we have the cops. I feel like we've gotten some good teases.
Yeah, well, and it also makes the case for just Dylan's character having a continuing presence on this show. You need that type of character who isn't Brandon, who's out of the picture for this episode, clearly, because they're, doing this whole story arc with him. Steve isn't going to be able to pull this off. So, I mean, David is not part of the gang yet. So you really need somebody who has kind of that balanced, even keel sort of
Mm-hmm.
demeanor. And notably, Dylan and Brenda are both sober. So, they managed to have this very civil conversation with the police. And it's just fun to see them playing kind of this old married couple for the sake of this one scene, as like the voices of reason. So, I got a real kick out of that. Because I really like Dylan and Brenda's dynamic, and just early glimpses of that in this little scene.
Yeah, their relationship is still very, very formative at this point, right? I mean, we come to the beginning of the episode, and he's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? You want to go to a movie? Or like he's going to Baja, and they don't really have anything really said, so it doesn't feel like they're terribly steady. And the girls are all encouraging her to make sure she invites him, so it doesn't seem like they have anything steady. I think this is a great scene for Dylan, and being the calming voice to the police. But Brandon out of control is just getting even better as the hair gets even more messed up, and
that's how
we're just missing like a tie, like the loosened tie and everything to really, really tie the picture together.
The tie around the head, something like that.
Yeah.
So Brandon, Steve, and the other douchebag, we still don't have a name, are pounding drinks. Dylan tells him to slow down. He's concerned, as is Brenda. Brandon's kind of like, are you worried or Brenda worried? And he's like, both. And so he kind of is like, I'm fine, shrugs it off. And Andrea walks in. And she is, I feel like this is like the most loose, happy Andrea we have seen. Like, I thought she looked good in this episode. She comes in.
I did too.
She's kind of got the hair looking on point. She's all smiles. Brandon tells her this is the place to be. Andrea is excited to be here. She has a little sip of the drink, which I thought at first when Brandon offered her the drink, she was gonna be like, "What are you doing? Why you?" Like, she was chill too. She's like, "All right, yeah," and she's feeling good. She's so happy to be here with Brandon. He invited her to the party. She saw the good play. So I actually, this was like one of my favorite Andrea scenes so far. I just thought she was really, just seemed happy, which is nice. Like, you don't get that a lot where she's just like chill and happy.
Seemed like she was ready to have a good time and was excited to see Brandon having a good time. Yep. And he even asked her over to dance. Oh, my God. Yes. And not just slow dance. Whoa, this is, Brandon with the messed up hair and loose dancing with friends is like, oh, man, he's so spiraling.
Couple problems there, yeah. We know from all the time that Brandon doesn't dance. So to see him
dance.
Yes, that's true. Good call.
Which I don't know they've really established yet, but
they haven't.
They will.
So Jim and Cindy are in the hot tub now. They're trying to get out of the room, thinking maybe we can have some privacy. But through the trees, they see the Barnetts moving toward them. Jim's like, I'm getting out of here. And Cindy's like, it's too late. They've already spotted us. And Jim says, I'm either getting out or I'm going to kill them. So he's at his wit's end with the Barnetts. Cindy says, how you doing? And Bob says, good, we're game. And right there's the first sign, right? And then they start laying it on very heavy, and Trudy's like, oh, Jim, looking good tonight. They take off the robes, and we find out that under the robes, they are naked. They have no clothes on, no bathing suit. And we find out, of course, that they are swingers. They've been working the game this whole time, and they figured tonight in the hot tub, they'd make their move. Then they go back to Beverly Hills, I guess, and keep it rolling there. Jim and Cindy just take off, so they're out of there. So this whole big special retreat getaway they've been banking on has been taken over by the swinging Barnetts, which is just a great scene. I thought this was really well done by all four of these people.
Yeah, good comedy relief here, and you sort of see it coming. Like, of course, these people are going to turn out to be swingers, but the reveal is still very, very much worth the build-up. Fun stuff there.
Yeah, just the notion of the fact that these people were able to get naked in a public hot tub at the resort is beyond me, but at the same time, like, really, really funny. And knowing that Jim and Cindy have been planning this romantic getaway and not able to have that involved, and now this is thrust upon them in no pun there, but by Bob. A tough scene, and especially knowing what's going on at their house and how they're about to get screwed over there too.
Yeah, things about to get a lot worse for them.
Yeah.
So we go back to the party. David is kind of obsessing over Kelly, and Kelly's trying to get away from Steve, who's trying to get her to drink. He's trying to get her to go in the bedroom, and Kelly just grabs David, and she's like, "Dance with me," and he is on the fucking moon, right? Like, he is like, "All right, let's go. This is my specialty. I can dance. I got the moves." Kelly's pulling me on the dance floor. She does think I'm hot, so they start dancing. And then Brandon and Andrea, we see them dancing, and Brandon makes his move. He goes to kiss her. And this is where it turns for Andrea. She's like pissed that he's drunk. and Brandon immediately goes to like douchebag drunk defensive mode. He's like, why are you always editing everything I say? What the hell? No one can handle me when I'm just kicking back and relaxing. And everyone always gives me shit. And here I am just trying to let loose. And basically she's like, maybe you can't handle it. Maybe you can't handle kicking back. And no one is liking it. And she leaves the party. So tough break for B here.
I did not remember Brandon just laying one on her like that. That really took me by surprise. I was like, whoa, they really went there. And it was, at first, she seems kind of like, oh my God, this is really happening. But then she's realizing to her horror that he's just a sloppy drunk guy trying to make out with her. And it's just kind of ruined her whole fantasy. And it's like that thing that happens when you sort of have a point when you are calling people out for judging you, and you're like, hey, I have all these expectations, and the minute I sort of push back against it, like everybody comes down on me. But at the same time, you are acting like an asshole, so it's just you can't win. And yeah, Brandon can't win in this situation and can't handle his liquor. So this is spiraling. This is some prime drunk Brandon that you and I, JT, really can't get enough of. I know.
It's outstanding drunk Brandon, and we don't get to see it again until I think Palm Springs in after college.
Wow.
Right?
Yes. The end of season 5, I think.
After the fire, right? After.
Yeah, I think it's the end of season 5, that episode.
Yeah, so
ways away.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
We can talk about that in what,
37?
It'll be a while. It'll be a while.
It'll be a while. But really a good scene for him and for Andrea. Like Andrea standing up to him. Andrea, like, actually having some meaningful lines that are cutting to another character, not just like embellishing on something. Like she's actually making a point, which I think is great here. And I think it doesn't get through to him, obviously, because it's Brandon, and Brandon is our main character, and he's going to be the one who we have to just see going through all of this. JT, Tim, you guys ever pull the Brandon move here?
The drunk kiss attempt?
No. But I've definitely gotten called out on my shitty drunken behavior, and been very like sanctimonious about it, like Brandon is.
like right away, like him.
Right.
Yes.
Shut it down.
I would say that the lean and kiss have come close on, but not but didn't get there. Close, like started the move.
Sounds likely. Sounds like something that probably occurred at some point. No comments. All right, so they run out of booze. So Steve says, Brandon, we're going to plan B, and we'll find out what plan B is in a second. David's doing okay dancing, but he tries a little too hard, and he kind of fucks up and bangs into Kelly. And, she even compliments him at first. She's like, wow, you get some good moves. And then he gets a little too excited. Kind of botches it up. We go to Brenda Dill. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. So do you think this is where they decided that maybe they had something more in Brian Austin Green with the dancing? Because that's basically what they have him do for the next season and a half. Right. Is when he appears is like going to dance and he's going to sing. Do you think like they had him in this episode and he was dancing? They were like, wow, you do that thing where you cross your arms and kick your legs out. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how quick they had to have liked him a decent amount because he was so much younger than everyone and they gave him a prominent role. So I think they probably knew coming in they had something here, given the amount of screen time he gets.
I mean, at the same time, though, JT, to that argument, they had Tori Spelling lower billed on the card than Scott Scanlon, who's going to,
True.
Yeah. See what happens.
All right, so Brenda and Dylan are outside. They're trying to figure out how to bust up the party, and they agree at 1 a.m. They're going to call it, get everyone out of here. Brandon and Steve, but as they're talking, we see a car pull out, and it's Brandon. And so he's in his car alone, and Steve and the other guy are in their car. and we find out the big plan that Brandon's going to the liquor store. I'm sorry, Brandon's going to the market to get snacks, and Steve's going to go to his house to get some booze. So a fatal flaw here is that they should have just ordered some pizzas. Probably would have been the way to go about it.
Probably.
Versus taking the risk on 2 people driving to go get some chips. I just would have called Domino's, whatever the California Pizza Kitchen, whatever it was up there.
It's Beverly Hills, though. Remember.
Right. There's got to be some pizza out there they could order, or some Chinese, something they could get at this point. Takeout, delivery. So Brandon's driving off. Steve's going to his house to get the booze from his mom's liquor cabinet. And so we go right to Brandon. He's on the road, and he's a real mess. And it's really over-exaggerated. He's like, whoa! He's like swinging the wheel. He's like looking to the right, like exaggerated that someone, you almost flew into someone. So he's all over the place. And as that's happening, he ends up T-boning a truck at an intersection in a pretty harrowing accident. I mean, if you were, I guess you could have been in the point where, you could have thought, they taking Brandon out here. Right? I mean, that's possible, I guess. But he really levels this truck. It's not just a minor accident. He really barrels into it.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, they could be maybe setting up for he's going to be, I mean, if not killed, then seriously injured, in the hospital. And it turns into that kind of very special episode as opposed to a don't drink and drive type message. But yeah, he is an absolute maniac peeling out of that driveway. Just that was a bit over the top, just swerving all over the road and then T-boning the truck. It all just happens so fast. And I mean, I get that you sort of have to do that thing cinematically, but
well, the good thing is that he realizes what a fucking stupid move it was, like within minutes. Like as soon as he's on that road, he's like, "This is not good.
I'm gonna fuck up." Yep. So, I'm just thinking to be that all over the road when you're like he would not be even able to stand up. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just I don't know, a little bit unrealistic, but unintentionally funny. So I kind of forgive it.
Yeah. And I'll call back to like just personal experience of driving on those roads of Beverly Hills, and there's no way you're ever even getting up to those speeds if you are.
Sure. Yeah.
And being able to navigate through there. There probably also isn't that much traffic or a pickup truck for whatever reason.
At 1 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 a.m.
But going to work overnight.
Just to Brandon for honoring the classic place to be nation member of Savazio DeFazio and wanting to go get chips so that the party could go on. I hope JT would appreciate that.
I did. I appreciate the callback. All right. So Jim and Cindy are in bed. They're a little too worried to get it on because they keep just being completely fearful that the Barnetts are going to show up and interrupt. And then we also find out Jim can't get it up, basically. He basically admits that it's not going to happen because of the Barnetts. All he can picture is Bob's dick out of the rope. So then the phone rings. It's Brenda calling Jim and Cindy, and she delivers the word that Brandon's in the Hooskow. He's been arrested for drunk driving, and Jim and Cindy are shook. They can't believe it. And Brenda, I feel like it's a good Brenda moment because she does a nice job balancing kind of a little bit of like hidden smile maybe as she's delivering the news, right? Like just a little bit of her is probably like, like you thought I was the bad one. But she's also clearly like worried and feels bad, right? Like she's not like rubbing it in their faces or anything. But so they're shook. We see Brandon, he's in the clink, and Jim and Cindy make it there from Palm Springs to eventually bail him out. So Brandon is not handling being in that cell very well.
No, he's been in the Beverly Hills drunk tank all night. We don't know exactly how long, but it seems like it's been several hours. I will say he's being a little extra. I mean, look, he's a 16-year-old kid in the county lockup, but he does have a whole cell to himself. It could be a lot worse.
And it's a 2-hour ride from Palm Springs to Beverly Hills, so
it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's a trek.
If I can interrupt, if we can get back, I think JT, you pointed on a big thing with Brenda's call. What is the first thing she says? Brandon's in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
But he's okay.
And they're like, oh, no, this is terrible. He's okay. Where is he? He was arrested for drunk driving. It's like she was building up to it for them.
Yeah.
Like, what a nasty way to go through that. Like,
well, to her dismay, this whole thing is about to turn into still somehow her fault, according to Jim and Cindy.
According to them. But, and I think I mentioned it to you guys in the emails that we had going back this week. That shot of Brandon sitting in the jail cell with the light coming through the sole window, and he's holding his knees, is probably one of the first things I remember about a 90210 commercial. Like watching that during The Simpsons on Sunday or something. It was like, on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Like goes, like on Fox 5. Like, like,
It's a good call.
That's
a great memory. Yeah, we are still some ways out from where I will be able to recall like specific episode promos. That's great.
All right, so Brandon again is a little over the top. He goes, "Now I understand why convicts risk their life to escape prison." But I mean, he's been in the drunk tank.
I had it down in the notes. It's my favorite.
It's such a stupid line. But Jim and Cindy are compassionate. Brandon reveals they had the party, and that's where they kind of get pissed. Like they're like, "What?" So they didn't realize that this was because they had a party at their house. So they go back to the Walsh house, and it is wrecked. Brenda's there trying to scrub the rug, and she reveals she invited some friends, and things just got out of hand. She didn't expect it to get this crazy. Jim and Cindy go in hard. Jim really belittles Brenda here verbally, saying,
blows
that
up
we went to the frat house to drink as kids with the stolen beer from Wisconsin. We weren't partying at our parents. So he really goes in on her. And Brenda says, "I wasn't drinking." And Brandon steps in and says, "She wasn't. I was." And Brenda's got quite the line. She says, "There's a lot of pressure on guys to drink these days," which I guess is in her mind would be true because that's all she's witnessed so far is Brandon getting pressured to drink. And Brandon basically says, "No, it's not what it is." Basically, like it wasn't just that. Like I wanted to, because I'm tired of whatever, not perfect. And
he's
Jim says,
not entirely forthcoming in this scene,
right at first, yeah. Well, and Jim does say, like, you said you'd never drink again after what happened at Foster's Lake when you threw up.
Right.
Brandon had the big puking at Foster's Lake. And Brandon then blames Steve. He says, "Steve spiked my drink, and now because of him, I have a record, and I'm not perfect anymore." And you could feel like this pressure just collapsing on him, but also maybe a little relief that his record is marred, that he's not perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit of that, which, again, has been a continuing theme of Brandon's character in these just early outings. I do think, while I like to see the Walsh children take up for each other, I do think that their tone, given the events of the past 24 hours, may be a little bit misplaced. Maybe you pick that battle a little bit more strategically than just trying to give it right back to Big Jim there. I mean, he and Cindy were remarkably civil in dealing with Brandon, for one thing. I'm just thinking, like, if my parents ever had to pick my fucking ass up in jail, like I would have heard it all the way home and trash the house like this. Like, they probably would have thrown me out, to be honest. Like, I would have been kicked out of the fucking house. So, yeah, I just think they maybe should have counted their blessings here and maybe saved this one for the next day where you have the big talk.
Yeah, I mean, tough to say because it's the morning. So what are we waiting for the next day?
Just for cooler heads to maybe prevail, just a little cooling off period. I don't know that. I just feel like everybody's still running pretty hot after like just getting home from picking your teenage son up from, the drunk tank.
Okay, so wait until after Brandon goes out and starts working on the bike.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can also see why they're also like wanting to do it now and why they're heated. Yeah, I mean, I had a similar incident like this, I guess, in high school. wasn't drinking carefully, but so I went. I might have told this on some pod somewhere, but so prom night, we go out, we go back to my buddy Andy's house, and we're having kind of the post prom party there, and he was drinking, others were drinking, I wasn't, because I had to drive my date home. I was sleeping in Andy, so the plan was to drive her home and then come back. So, my parents are. I wasn't, like I mentioned earlier, I was not someone who like was out a lot, like outside my group, right? Like I had a few friends who would go to a hockey game or stuff like that. But this was kind of like, all right, I'm out at a party. So I called them kind of early at like midnight or whatever. I was like, all right, I brought Courtney home, I'm going to bed. And they're like, okay. But in reality, she was still at the party. We're still up. So like 3 a.m, after the party kind of ends, I'm like, all right, Andy, take a ride with me. We'll bring her home. And again, he's like, out of it. So we bring her home, drop her off. We're driving back to his house, and we get pulled over. And it's like 3:30 in the morning. 2 cops pull us over, and they have to get out of the car, and they search the car because they're like, basically it's 3:30. You speed in, blah, blah, blah. Andy's trying to tell me to give them a fake name. Like, they need my license. I'm like, I can give them a fake name. So I'm just like trying to survive. But now I have to tell my parents because the ticket and everything's going to say 3 a.m, right? So like, why go out?
Yeah.
So I barely slept at Andy's. I go home in the morning, and it was the same thing. Like, I just got home and I had to tell him, and we went right into it. Like, I didn't get any grace period. But the story I did tell was that I had brought her home, and we were online, and she messaged me and said that she left her purse in the car, so I had to go bring it back. So that was the cover story. Whether it was bought or not, I don't know. They never told me either way. But funny enough, so I ended up having to go to traffic court over winter break. That would have been prom season. So like 7 months later, I go in.
Yeah.
And they ended up suspending my license for 3 days. And
3 days.
Yeah, and it seemed like a lot. Like I wasn't speeding that. Like, it wasn't bad.
I mean, yeah, just for speeding. Like, who cares?
So I go to pick up my license 3 days later, and they got fucked up. They thought I had already paid the fine, and I didn't, but they said I did. So I didn't have to pay the fine. I got out of it.
Oh. Okay.
But then that judge got profiled like 2 years later for being abnormally harsh on situations like that. And he got like in trouble, or like I don't know, whatever happens to judges. I don't think he got disbarred, but he anyway, he was under fire for being too strict on situations similar to mine. So it was kind of funny. Anyway,
oh wow.
So there's my
JT. Does this story all end with a crowd of people chanting "Justin Rosero graduates"?
No, it was not in any danger. Now, if I had drank, this is the lesson, I guess, I would have been in a lot of trouble, probably.
Yeah.
But at that point, I had not since age 3 had I had alcohol touch my lips between age 3.
Wow.
So, yeah. I think it was in that summer before college I finally had a beer or two. But anyway.
Came out of retirement.
Stories for another day. All right, so Andrea checks in on Brandon at school. And I'm sorry, Brandon's outside. He's fixing the bike. And makes a joke. He's like, tells Brenda, we can make it a tandem bike if you want, so you can drive with me. Or then he kind of gets a dig in. I don't think he meant it, but he said, like, you can try and get your license again. Ouch.
Yeah, because he tells her, he's like, yeah, we might be relying on your shitty driving, basically.
Right, basically. So Brenda says Brandon lied about the spiked drink, and Brenda's basically, what's going on? Like, why are you so fucked up? And he snaps at her, and she walks away. So we go to school the next day. Andrea checks on him. He apologizes for being a dick. And she kind of hand waves it. So good on her, I guess. She's like, it's fine. Because deep down, I think she liked that he tried to kiss her and doesn't want to fuck it up, is my guess. Like,
right.
She realizes there's something there. Brenda tells Kelly and Donna about the fallout. But Donna breaks the news. She said, the word is this is the best party of the year. Everyone's buzzing about it. You guys did good. So Brenda's kind of feeling good that they had the epic party. And then the final scene, or final moment of the scene in the school, David dedicates the song to Kelly, the song that they danced to. He says, this is for you, Kelly Taylor. And she is completely grossed out. So she went from Steve hounding her, and now David's in love.
What a whirlwind. Okay, yeah. So, and by the way, there was a funny moment at the party, whatever song it was. I mean, I guess we'll find out what the real song in the episode was when we get to it. But David is telling Scott, oh, I don't want to go. I'm not going to ask Kelly to dance. I don't like this song. And then she drags him out to dance floor, and he's like, "Oh, this is my favorite song." And so it's like this has become their song now, which is, I'm eager to find out what it is, because
I was gonna say, should we
that's
say it now, or do you want to wait? I guess
I didn't actually check myself, so I don't
I do know what it is. We'll wait. We'll reveal at the end.
We'll wait. Okay. So I like that that's a running gag, basically.
All right, so Dylan checks on Brandon at the Peach Pit. Brandon says his hearing went okay. In 3 weeks, he can drive to school and work. And Dylan says, Brandon, you're lucky. And Brandon's like, yeah, I know. I'm lucky I didn't die. And he's like, no, you're lucky you didn't kill someone, you fucking prick. And he kind of has a heart-to-heart. He's like, everyone has a dark side, buddy. Like, you're not, everyone does. Like, you do, I do, and you have to control it. You got to figure out what it takes. And Brandon unloads on him. He's like, I have all this parental pressure. Here are my issues. My dad thinks I'm perfect and this and that. And Dylan does a good job. He tries to talk him through it. Brandon says he wants to drink again just to prove to the Walsh's parents that, it's his life. He can make the decision. And Dylan says, well, I got just the place for you. And Brandon's thinking, all right, we're going to go drinking. And instead we go to the high school, and Brandon's like, why are we here? And we walk into an AA meeting. And Brandon still is kind of like, I don't need AA. Why are we here? And Dylan reveals in front of everyone. He says, I'm Dylan, and I'm an alcoholic. And, this is a pretty good message about this. Could have went a bunch of ways, right? Don't drink and drive. Don't give in to peer pressure. But I think the way they did it was good too. It's basically like people at this age can have drinking problems. Brandon's not alone.
Yeah.
You could be 16, 17 and need to go to AA. It's not just like an older person war veteran thing, right? Like everyone has this potential problem. You're not alone. And I thought this was really good bonding for Dylan and Brandon. And I really liked the scene with, him taking Brandon to AA. And this is going to be a running theme with both these guys, that they have drinking problems that they need to control. And when they don't, things go different ways for the two of them, but neither are good.
Yeah, no doubt. This is kind of a big reveal too, coming off the heels of just our last episode where we saw Dylan actually go for the drink when he had that blow up with his dad. And, Brenda kind of talks him out of that one. And you're wondering, oh, is this going anywhere? And sure enough, that's a hell of a big deal in retrospect, given that he is, self-identifying as an alcoholic here. And the episode is doing a good job, like you said, JT, of highlighting what is a real issue and something that you just didn't see a lot of in your media, certainly in the early 90s and certainly even today. Like that's kind of a message that I did not expect this this episode to be imparting, but I do kind of like that you can say it's maybe tacked on as the big reveal as their ending, and they had to go big, but I think it does really work. Especially just given the characters and given the performances that we get here. Really, really solid stuff. And this whole this monologue that Brandon gives about the weight of expectations, and I felt like I had to really step out of line in order to feel like a man almost. And I love that Dylan just waves it off, and he's just like, dude, that's not a real problem. Like there are people, let me introduce you to some people who would kill to have that as their problem. So I just thought, it could have been, what could have been really heavy-handed came off well to me.
And I think that kind of circles to what I was looking at the beginning of the episode, where the beginning was so heavy-handed.
Yes.
And was just overkill on everything, on, here are the evils of all of this. And then all of a sudden it was this nice kind of wrap up of, this exists in your culture. This exists in your age range. And you need to understand that there are outlets for you. And I think this was the first really kind of almost beneficial thing that they did on a 90210 episode. I can't think of something they did beforehand.
All right, so we wrap up. Jim waits for Brandon. They have a good talk and kind of wrap things up. So that brings an end to this very good episode. A lot going on. The universe continues to expand. They continue to go after the kind of teenage issues of the day. Good messages. They have open dialogue ongoing kind of across the board. I thought it was a little lighter till the end too. It was focused. We had some heavy stuff once Brandon hits the road, but again, kind of like last episode, Tim, where they saved the punch for the last scene almost. We get that again here, where last episode it wasn't until we got the presentation in the all-purpose room that we found out kind of the big twist. And again, we get that very late in the episode after multiple teases. So, we saw a lot of growth for everyone except for Steve, who feels like he's gonna reckon and coming soon. Like, he's been on the borderline of these things way too often so far, whether it was the date rape stuff we talked about a few episodes ago, or this. Like, I feel like he's always on the edge of, maybe he's a good guy, but he's just got real bad tendencies and bad judgment. So I feel
again, JT, I chalk that up to, I'm not sure. Did they have that figured out so far?
Right. No, I think he's, like I said, I think he's the de facto heel. Like, I think we have real, like, we'll kind of do the heel of the day sometimes, like with the ninjas on the beach and all that stuff. But I feel like Steve is meant to be like the day-to-day bad guy, where he's not really bad, but he's just like kind of the annoying person they hang out with that no one really likes, but he's just kind of in the group anyway. I think that's where they started with him, where he's the tension point when they need a tension point. But he is going to be eventually kind of shake that off and get through it and become just a cast member.
Yeah, you're not necessarily supposed to like the character. He's there to serve that type of role.
Yep.
So we'll see how that evolves. I mean, Donna is still very much twisting in the wind, but I mean, there's pretty obvious reasons for that. Like, I don't think the writers even want her on the show. They're just sort of stuck with her because, nepotism. So, but right. I mean, she's still getting there, as we said.
All right, why don't we get to our awards, and then we'll get to our trackers, and we'll wrap things up. So, Best scene for me, I ended up going the Barnett's in the hot tub, which
Wow.
There's a lot of options. I just really like. I thought that was funny.
There are a lot of options. I think I'm gonna go with my favorite drunk Brandon line, which is when the cops show up and Brenda's pulling him aside. He does the very sarcastic, "Oh, like, don't have a cow."
Don't have a cow, man.
Yeah. Just anything involving drunk Brandon.
Don't lay a finger on my butterfinger.
It's so rare we get to see that, so I've got to highlight it when it does exist.
My favorite scene is gonna be when we hear that Brandon is such a buzz crash, and then Steve pours half a shot of tequila into a full pitcher of tequila and says, "Oh yeah, this will straighten him up."
Yeah, I love that too.
Because I think it's just it's such a teen version of, like, show him what happened.
Right.
I did have that tied for most important scene, Brandon's first drink, because it does kind of set, again, a big piece of his character. But I had that tied with the AA meeting, which reveals Dylan's big problem. So it kind of brings them together in this little symbiotic relationship that these two dudes seem very different, but at their roots, they have some of the same kind of dark issues brewing, which really tends to be daddy issues, right? I mean, that's both of them pretty much are trending that way.
You're giving Brandon daddy issues? That's what you're saying?
I'm giving him daddy issues. Like, at least in season 1 so far, any problem he's had is because he feels extreme pressure from his dad to be like the perfect son. Like, that's been well established, whether it's playing basketball.
So he seeks out father figures in Duke and Nat.
He does. I mean, I think it's clearly an issue with him. And I think Dylan's got the same thing, which is why Jim becomes like a daddy figure to him, right? And the Walsh family becomes the ideal family for him because he doesn't have his own. So,
boy, we got a lot to discuss over the next 30 years, it seems.
Yes, we do.
Well, yeah, we're doing deep psychological dives here on these characters.
This is
We're going in hard. All right, Tim, what's important?
I totally agree. Yeah, we've got a few options here. I think a minor one that we touched on is just, it's very stupid, but the confirmation that David can dance, apparently.
Yes.
he does his early 90s white kid thing that gets him over. And like you said, Brandon's just overall attitude towards drinking going forward is just very much informed by this episode.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I did go with the big reveal that Dylan is an alcoholic, which I mean, you really can't, in the first season, it's like they still have the training wheels on to some extent, where not a lot of these things are going to stick, but you really can't wave off things like one of your characters being an addict, like that's going to become a major component of his identity.
John?
What's the category?
Most important scene.
Most important scene? Yeah, most important scene has to be Dylan at the end. It plays forward into a lot of episodes that we haven't discussed, obviously, and reveals that he's going to be having a deeper relationship with the Walsh family, not just with Brenda as her friend, but also with Brandon as his bro. So
and they've had a little butting head so far, but this is
they have,
together.
And I think this really kind of
brings them tighter. Yeah,
and he always. I always think back to the David Spade portrayal of him on SNL. It was David Spade. It might have been Dana Carvey, but he's like shrugs the whole time. He's like, "Oh man," like, and that's what Dylan was so early on. He would just kind of creep into these scenes and be like, "Hey, what's happening this weekend?"
Well, and quietly steal the show, because I mean, this is supposed to be a Brandon episode, and at the end it's like, surprise, I'm an alcoholic, and you're like, oh, okay, this is a big deal.
So surprise, this was an episode about Brandon drinking, but no, doesn't matter. The lesson we learn is Dylan's an alcoholic, right?
Yep.
All those years at the hotel.
Yeah, and what else are you gonna do? Hit the mini bar. All right, most 90s look out with the Jim and Cindy matching country club sweaters.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I mean, Brenda's hair and blazer at the Walsh party is pretty out of control. You get Brandon with the Canadian tuxedo at one point, but I think we've seen that before. So yeah, I got to go with the Walshes and their matching tennis or
squash,
whatever. Yeah, racquetball wear in the early morning.
I'd go with Brandon's blazer combo at the second party. The one that he started to tear apart.
I think I'm more drunk
while he was getting drunk.
All right, most 90s moment, I gave it a tie with the idea of like house parties, which I know are still a thing, but they were like really a thing in the 90s. Like just that was it, and that was tied with Love Boat on late night TV when Cindy was going to bed. So
I definitely have the Walsh house party. Most 90s.
Most 90s, yeah, like teen house party. When I graduated university in 2002, we all came back home and we were like, hey, we never got to have a high school house party, and that was what everybody talked about when we were in high school. So let's try to run one, and we did the same. We went to a friend's house, and we went over to the liquor store and tried to ask people to buy us beer to do it instead, even though we could already legally.
I'll say one of the most intriguing house parties I attended was a bachelor party, and the best man was a real estate agent, and he had a house that he was like flipping and gonna like and whatever take apart and rebuild, or so we had the party there. So like he didn't give a shit if we like destroyed the house, basically, because like it was gonna get kind of torn up anyway. So it was kind of a cool concept if you have that available. My younger
brother held a high school house party at our house, so I got to live vicariously through him when he. But I came home, and the next day I saw like the dining room table, the lacquered dining room table, was all marked up from people playing quarters on it.
Yep.
That's not good.
Well, JT, it sounds like you had a future episode of 90210 at house part just trashing it.
That's true. A house I was about to do.
As a component of just the house party is just the whole concept of parents going away for a weekend. Do parents even do that anymore? Just leave the kids behind at, that
during
age?
During COVID, Tim?
I don't know. I'm not a parent. I gotta ask.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I'll let you know in about 6 years.
Gonna drop them for a few days. I mean, I just feel like parents in the 90s did not give a fuck, basically.
Well, I would get left. I would say as early as like probably when I was like 13.
Yeah,
I'd get left home alone for the night with like my sister. But my parents never. They never went away, and I just stayed home alone.
Okay.
Like ever until I was probably in like college, I guess. And even then, I don't think even at the house alone, I would have been like in college. Yeah, I don't know. It's the closest I came. Like I think I was like 16 and they went away, and we slept though like at my cousin's. But like I'd be home by myself for a while. Like the bus would drop me off at home. I'd do my homework and hang out, and then they'd like come pick me up at night to go to their house. But like I don't think I ever just like stayed at my parents' house alone without them there for like a weekend or something.
Yeah,
I think the general idea is that, hey, it's okay to leave students who are 16, 17 years old home alone because especially if they've been staying home alone for, 4 hours a day after school. And we're not going to be one of those movies because those are 1 in a million instances.
Probably depends on the kids. Yeah.
So I don't know. I just wonder if that's
it probably ends up just
away.
With a bunch of girls showing up and drinking wine coolers and playing Super Nintendo or whatever.
All right. Best lesson learned. I went with don't ever listen to Steve Sanders at a party.
Ooh.
That was the root of all the problems of this episode.
Don't trust the bartender.
Kelly listened to Steve. Brandon listened to Steve. Like that, he was the root cause of every issue with this episode.
I would say twofold. Don't drink and drive, but have the party anyway because it will put you on the map within your social circle. I mean, you heard Donna at the end there. It was the party of the year. Everybody agreed, and I mean, look at how popular the Walshes are going forward in the series. I feel like it really established them as, well, as Brandon put it, the place to be. You always have the party. Is what I'm saying.
Why am I going to add on to that?
Oh, and don't succumb to peer pressure.
Yeah. All right, best hookup. Best hookup. I went the Walshes and the Barnetts.
I guess I'll give it to Steve and Kelly because I don't know how many other opportunities
that's true.
We'll have to say that.
So JT, what is your impression of what was the extent of the Walshans and the Barnetts off screen?
Nothing happened. Jim and Cindy are too square to give into that night.
She mentions that he, she resisted bucking the Bronco.
It would have been tough. I mean,
so did it get to a certain extent? That's what I'm wondering.
No, I think that's it. I think what we saw on the tub was it. That's it. I think she was just being facetious. I think Cindy seemed closer to Jim to giving in though, which is surprising to me. You wouldn't have thought that.
She did. She seemed like she was more willing to acquiesce to whatever their outrageous demands were. Like
we got to get out of here, and if this is going to get us out of here, let's go.
Yeah, let's just get it over with.
All right, best quotes. I had a few. Kelly repeats twice, "My mom drinks, I sip." When Brenda says, "Don't be a drunk like your mom," basically. Kelly also had the great line, "15 minutes of fun, a lifetime of regret." Scott, "The same people ignore me at school can ignore me here." Kelly's as good looking as Christy Brinkley. David, and you're no Billy Joel. Scott.
That's great.
So much funny. So a couple good lines from the ancillary characters here, but Kelly continues to kill it with the one-liners. Did you have any other ones, John, besides those?
The only one I added was one you misquoted earlier was the guy we don't know who he is, he said Walsh is a major buzz crusher.
Yes, buzz crusher.
I hope he meant buzz kill, but I love that he said buzz crusher. Like it just
fucking guy
makes it feel so much more like 90s era writers trying to, capture the zeitgeist.
Well, if anyone out there knows who this guy's name is, let us know. All right, final grade. A great episode. I have it a notch below our other like top level ones, which are the Coke binge and last week's with Brenda and Dylan, which I thought was great. But this is still one of the best ones we've seen this season. So I went 7.5 out of 10, Tim.
Ooh, so I gave last week a 10, and I don't think this is super far off from it. I gave Jackie Taylor, I think, a 9.
This is comfortably my third. Jackie got a 10 from me.
Yeah.
Last episode got a 9.
Want to go? Can I go 8.5?
Yeah, I think it's good.
We do halves, yeah, because I think it's just a little below coked out Jackie, but God, not much. I almost want to give it a 9.
Where would you put drunk Brandon against coked out Jackie?
I know.
No, it's not.
I know.
I'm sorry. I mean, look, drunk Brandon's awesome. Coke Jackie is like a fucking complete force of nature. Like she. Brandon did a good job portraying a teenager being drunk. Jackie was like Oscar level, like out of her fucking mind in that episode. Like that was one of the most compelling episodes of anything I've seen. Was her just going off the fucking rails in that episode.
Plus the Office.
JT, did you ever think about doing cocaine after watching that episode? Where you're just like, forget this. Like if that's gonna happen.
It was more listening to Rocco talk about his experience. That turned me off a good more so than watching Jackie. All right, so 7.5. You going 9 or 8.5, Tim? Where are you gonna land?
I'm gonna go 8.5. You know what? Okay. Yeah, and revisiting. Thank you for that walk down memory lane with Coach.
Yeah, come on. That was you can. I mean, Brandon was good, but Jackie was next level. That was an all timer. What do you think? Final grade, John?
All right, I'll go 8.5 as well. I think this is one of the top episodes you can have from this early season. And if your early seasons are ranking this high, then guess what's going to happen when
Dave Meltzer will be given 12
Kelly, Brendan, when we get into that.
All right. Let's hit our trackers real quick. For new characters, I had the asshole classmate, who we never gave a name to, and then Bob and Trudy Barnett were the other name ones. Relationships, we had a decent amount here. I went Steve and Kelly, Brandon and Andrea, the Walshes and the Barnetts, and David and Kelly, who start their relationship as well, kind of as being in each other's worlds finally. And places and things, I had Donna's house and Palm Springs. So anything I missed there, you guys?
No.
Beverly Hills County Jail.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah, that county jail. Good one.
Or drunk
Axel Foley's old stomping grounds.
There you go.
All right. Finally, let's hit our songs for the night that we did not hear. The big reveal of this one.
Yeah.
So the scene the beginning where Donna's party, I guess it was in the beginning, but then again at Donna's party, So Hard by the Pet Shop Boys. Then at the Walsh house, the first song that plays is Goddess by Soho. And then David and Kelly's dance song is Don't You Love Me by the 49ers.
Oh. Okay.
Were you expecting something more?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe something
a little more known.
Yeah.
I was. And with the Pet Shop Boys song from the first scene, it's what they play is kind of a grind metal.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The replacement is like
it's really.
I mean, I feel like I've heard the Killers or like Great Value Killers in some of these.
Oh yeah. The songs definitely the fill-ins are more modernized. And then Reptile by Chris Luke is when they're showing the students at Beverly High. So there's the songs. All right, real quick before we get out of here, let's do our character rankings. So are we going Brando back at the top on this one?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not hard for me.
I mean, he's the star of the episode. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I think the big question to me is it Dylan or Brenda next? I think the importance of the A scene to me makes Dylan be next for me.
I think Dylan's second star. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, he's so good in the scene talking to the cops.
Yep. All right, so Brenda third.
Yeah.
So then we got this.
Hold on,
mix.
JT. Are you doing these? Are these by episode, and then you're gonna rank them together, or what?
So this is kind of in this episode, and then it gets layered onto the total.
Okay. So yeah, I would say Dylan this episode. Brandon first, Dylan second. Okay, go ahead.
Brenda third, I think is.
Yeah,
is
Brenda third.
All right, so then we got kind of this mishmash of Jim, Cindy, and Kelly. I think of the next tier in this one. I think.
I think Jim and Cindy dominate the second storyline, so there's no way you can put any of the girls above them.
Well, the question is Jim or Cindy higher? Who did you like better?
Because of his demanding that she get in the bed with him.
I think Jim.
You're creepy.
I like Jim being ready to go.
Well, you also get the Brenda stuff with Jim. Like, that's part of this, too.
Okay, yeah. The blow up with the kid. Yeah, you got a good big Jim. And then Cindy. And then Kelly.
Would you go Kelly over Donna?
Yes.
Oh, easy. So I would go Kelly, and then I would go David next.
Ooh. No. Whoa.
What?
How do you miss Steve, who's the big cat?
No, I still go David over Steve. Steve was a creepy asshole in this one. David was way more chill, and like the dance stuff was good. The couple lines he had, the Kristen Brinkley.
So what are we rating? Are we rating on like quality of character or like the impact of the character?
Kind of both.
Yeah, it's just kind of the overall.
Kind of both, yeah.
I just think Steve's a shitbag, and he comes off like a rapist. Like, so I don't know. Like,
I'll put it this way: I don't think we saw anything new from Steve in this one. With David, at least, we got like some.
He made up some ground. He danced with Kelly, and yeah, he's like he's pulling up. I would go Kelly, David, Steve, and then I'd have to debate Scott and Andrea next.
Oh God, yeah.
Andrea over Scott. Scott's got to go.
Yeah.
But he's got the couple good one-liners. But no, I did like Andrea's wide-eyed.
No, Andrea, you just said this was Andrea's like best scene.
It was. All right, so Andrea,
keep her over Scott. I think. I mean, she made out with drunk Brandon. It's more than you expect from an Andrea scene.
What and how many buses did she have to take home?
a lot of buses.
Well, look, she was at the community theater, so she was potentially.
All right, so we got Kelly, David, Steve, Andrea, Scott, Donna, and that's it. And then we got Nat and Jackie with the zeros, sadly again. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna do the overall totals. While I calculate that, Tim, anything you want to plug? Ski you got going on?
I would just say, look, make sure you subscribe to this podcast network, the North-South Connection, where you're hearing this podcast and a plethora of other great content, other great voices, in addition to JT and myself and John. We've also got some affiliate or sister podcasts that we partner with as well. So do check out the Place to Be Nation Pop Experience, where I've got some presence over there. We like to do reviews of the Disney Plus series on Disney Plus, excuse me, with Hawkeye, continuing coverage of that, and Book of Boba Fett coming soon, or potentially having already started, depending on when you're listening to this episode. So check out Place to Be Nation Pop Experience. We also have Place to Be Nation Wrestling. I feel like I'm remiss in plugging Place to Be Nation Wrestling. A lot of great pro wrestling related content there, where you'll find a variety of shows, much like you will on North South. And finally, our good friend and former past guest of this show, Jennifer Smith, has her own podcast network called The Jenny Position, Find a lot of good shows that Jenny puts together, hosts or co-hosts, and I am a part of some of those, including Talkin' Pop and The Journey Through Infinity. That is also with JT. So more Marvel Cinematic Universe content there, if that's what you are interested in. You can also find me on social media. I am at Cyke68, CYKE68 on Twitter.
John, anything you want to talk
about? Listen, here's what you can do. You can find me anytime I show up on the Place to Be Nation. You can find me anytime I show up on the North-South Connection. I'm typically here to lose gloriously in some trivia contests, but I'm also
Aren't we all?
I'm also happy to be a participant in conversations about pop culture and other wrestling. So not much to offer you for that, but make sure that you follow these two. Also make sure you follow the Association Fantasy Football Cast United for fantasy BPL coverage, and I'll take care of you there.
All right. North-South Connection, cool. I think, Tim, you talked about it pretty well. Thank you. Appreciate it. Definitely subscribe to everything we have going on. Content dropping most days. northsouthconnection.podbean.com. You can subscribe on any podcatcher app. We'd love it if you give us a rating and a review. And also, like I mentioned, if you're interested in joining us as a guest spot on one of these episodes of 902 No So, just reach out to us on social media. We'd love to have you. Facebook.com/NorthSouthConnection. All right, real quick, here's our character rankings up to date. It is the same order as previous, but there's some tightening in the middle. So Jackie, excuse me, Jackie still brings up the bottom with 13. Jackie Taylor. Nat Basiccio next with 17. Donna Martin with 28. Scott Scanlon at 40. Then we kind of hit the next tier with Andrea Zuckerman at 60 points. David Silver with 72. Here's the tight middle. Jim Walsh with 75. Kelly Taylor with 76. Steve Sanders with 78. So they're all kind of bunched together now, that group there. Then we kind of get our next B-plus level, which is Cindy Walsh at 85. Dylan McKay at 92. And then we have our top two, Brenda Walsh with 114. And Brandon Walsh back in first place alone at 116. They were tied after our last episode. So I think we're starting to see things kind of bust into tiers for sure. Kind of our top, our almost top, and then we get that real glut in the middle with the David, Jim, Kelly, Cindy, Steve group. And then the bottom is kind of Scott, Donna, whatever.
Yeah. Whoever shows up on a given episode.
Like, it's crazy that Nat's only been like in 2 episodes and he's like 9.
I know.
10 behind Donna, whatever. So, kind of crazy. All right, so that'll do it. We'll be back in a few weeks, Tim. We'll have a new guest with us. We'll be talking episode 12. Really excited, really enjoying this journey with you and all our guests. John, thank you so much for being on. Everyone have a little dim sum. We'll talk to you soon.